Hey everybody, welcome to week 4. Hopefully now water is become a no-brainer and something that you do every single day. Hopefully we're still limiting some of those sugar-sweetened beverages, and also now hopefully you found a little bit of a deeper connection with your food, and hopefully you've started to understand why you eat, what you really enjoy about eating, and all of those things, because food is more than just fuel. For the next couple of weeks, we're going to dive in pretty deeply to macro and micronutrients. For this week, we're going to do a quick overview of all of that, but don't worry, I will be smashing your brains with a lot of information soon. So for right now, we're just going to talk about balancing them and what that can look like, and we're just going to do a brief overview of what that means. So your macronutrients, I like to refer to them more as building blocks because I have an extra one in there that most people don't really count. So your macronutrients, or your building blocks, are going to be carbohydrates, protein, fat, and then my favorite, which is fiber. So fiber technically fits within the carb category, but if you don't have it or think about it within your meals, then you're not really doing it right. So a lot of people, especially who do macro counting, they get their macros through Skittles or Frappuccinos, and that doesn't really cut it in my book. So what are carbs? What are carbs good for? So carbs are essential for muscle function, brain function, and hormone production. Your body can make sugar in a very expensive process. We'll go over that later. But right now, let's just focus on where you get your carbs from. So carbs come from whole grains, fruit, starchy vegetables, a little bit of dairy, and then also obviously sugar. So anything that's sweet has sugar in, unless it's artificially sweetened, which we've already learned about. So carbohydrates important, especially if you're an athlete or anything like that. Try to get a little bit of them, especially for females. Our hormones are changing constantly, and in order for those hormones to change, we need to be able to create them with some carbs. The next one is protein. Protein's an easy one. Protein, most people aren't really scared of protein. A lot of people are kind of scared of the carb thing, but we'll dive into why it's not so scary later. But protein is essential for rebuilding muscle and tissue. So especially since you guys are in here in the gym all the time, you probably need a little bit more than you did before. So looking at protein, what is protein? Protein is made up of these small little blocks called amino acids. Some are essential, some are non-essential. Essential means that we have to get them from our food. So where do we get them? Pretty no-brainer. Most of you probably know this. But you get it from meat. You can get it from beans, legumes, tofu, fish, eggs. Dairy also has some as well. And some nuts and seeds also. So looking at some of these fit in a couple different categories as well, but we're just going to kind of break it down simply. From there, you have fat. Fat is essential for energy. It has a lot of energy in it, so it gives us energy. It's really important for satiation and for satiety. So basically, your body tells you when you're full once you've had a little bit of fat and a little bit of protein. So what are some good fat sources? Fat sources are going to be from nuts and seeds, oils, so good plant oils, having some extra virgin olive oil, some grapeseed oil, some coconut oil. Coconut oil I kind of equate with butter as well. So also avocados, eggs have some fatty fish, salmon, tuna, all of the cold water fishes are going to have some good fats in them as well. And like I said before, when you have those proteins and those fats, that's going to help tell your body that you're full, because once you start to break that down, your digestive system will send a signal up to your brain saying that, okay, we've had enough. So what does this look like? Oh, I left out my other one, fiber. So fiber is huge. So fiber is all of the compounds that our body doesn't fully break down. So cows and other animals, they have 4 stomachs. We only have 1. So fiber is really, really important because what it does is it helps keep us fuller, but then it also feeds all of our microbiome. So all of our gut bacteria, I call it our little army that lives inside of our large intestine and small intestine. Those need to be fed too, and they aren't fed through normal means like protein and fat and things like that. They're fed through fiber. So it's really, really, really important. Again, diving into that a little bit later on a much bigger scale, but let's look at how we can balance this. So ideally, meals don't always look like this, but ideally, if this is your plate, what I would love to see is that you cut it in half and make all of this one half vegetables, aka fiber. Potatoes and corn and peas and pumpkin and winter squash, those ones don't count. So all of these on this side are going to be broccoli, spinach, tomatoes, carrots, things like that. You probably get the picture. Everything in this little quadrant over here is going to be your starch or your carbs. This is going to be whole grains. These are going to be things like brown rice, quinoa, some of your starchy vegetables like potatoes, sweet potatoes, winter squash, so acorn squash, pumpkin, things like that. And this, I also like to measure things in handfuls too. So vegetables, I say you need 2 handfuls of vegetables. You need 1 cupped hand of your starches, and then this other one is protein. You need about, for most of you, either about a palm, or depending on if you're a little bit bigger or if you're maybe exerting more energy or breaking down more tissue, is having about up to your first knuckle. That's about a 3 to 4 ounce serving of protein here. And this can be, again, this can be lean meats, it can be poultry, it can be eggs, it can be beans, tofu, lentils, a lot of different things here. On the side, you're gonna have our best friend, water. And then one thing that I don't really include in here is fat. So fat is normally somehow involved in this cooking, in the cooking of vegetables or maybe dressing, or sometimes it's involved in something here. So some fat options are gonna be dressing, your oils. Maybe if you don't really have any oils or dressing, maybe you add some avocado, maybe you add some nuts or seeds. So your goal this week, if you can, is to try to make at least 1 meal, if not 2, look like this. I think it's easiest to make lunch and dinner look something like this, but the main thing that I really want to really stress here is looking at how you're distributing these. So a lot of people, most of the time, their plate may look like this, where you have starch, protein, and then maybe a few vegetables. So trying to shift this to this. So hopefully I'll see you in the gym. Let me know how everything is going. Maybe you already do this, maybe you don't, maybe this is super hard. So let me know if you need any tips or anything like that. Come find me. Thanks.